A poor teenager helped save the life of a wealthy woman on a busy street in Midtown when everyone else simply walked by. Alex woke up to the sound of his alarm, a harsh buzzing that filled the quiet of the small one-bedroom apartment he shared with his mother. He sat up, rubbing his eyes, and glanced at the stack of overdue bills on the kitchen table. His stomach tightened as he thought about the eviction notice they had received a week ago. His mom had left for her morning shift at the diner, like always, leaving behind a pot of oatmeal on the stove and a sticky note on the counter. "Have a good day. Love you." Alex pulled on the cleanest clothes he could find, grabbed his worn-out backpack, and headed out the door. The morning air was crisp, and the streets were already alive with the sounds of the city. He walked quickly, his sneakers slapping against the cracked pavement, avoiding eye contact with the people rushing past him. Midtown was a mix of towering glass skyscrapers and crumbling old buildings, and as Alex made his way to school, he passed through the affluent part of town, where everything seemed shiny and new. He couldn't help but glance at the sleek cars and perfectly manicured lawns, wondering what it would be like to live in a place like that. As he walked past the towering structure of Griffin International, a corporate office building with walls of glass that sparkled in the morning sun, Alex noticed the usual hustle and bustle. Executives in tailored suits streamed in and out, their faces buried in their phones. Just as he was about to cross the street, something caught his eye. A woman was standing near the entrance, clutching her pregnant belly. Her face was pale, and she looked unsteady on her feet. People passed by her without a second glance, too engrossed in their own lives to notice her distress. Alex froze, unsure of what to do. His mom had always told him to be cautious, especially in this part of town. But something about the woman's expression made his heart race. He hesitated for a moment, then made up his mind and jogged over to her. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked, his voice steady despite the nerves he felt. The woman turned to him, her eyes wide with fear. Before she could answer, her knees buckled. Alex lunged forward, catching her just in time. "It's okay, I've got you," he said, guiding her down to sit on the curb. He could feel the weight of people's stares as they walked past, some whispering, others frowning, but no one stopped to help. Alex knelt beside her, his jeans scraping against the rough concrete. "Do you need water? Should I call someone?" he asked. The woman's breathing was shallow, and she managed to nod. "Call an ambulance," she whispered. Alex fumbled with his phone, his hands trembling as he dialed 911. He gave the dispatcher the details, his voice cracking slightly as he explained the situation. As he hung up, he noticed a security guard approaching from the entrance of Griffin International. The man's gaze was fixed on Alex, his expression suspicious. "What's going on here?" the guard demanded, his hand resting near the radio on his belt. "She needs help," Alex said, holding up his hands in a gesture of innocence. "I'm just trying to make sure she's okay." The guard frowned, his eyes darting between Alex and the woman. Before he could say anything, a commanding voice cut through the tension. "Let him be." Alex turned to see a man descending the steps of the building. He was tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in an expensive suit that screamed authority. His expression was one of concern as he hurried over to them. "Is she all right?" he asked, his tone firm but not unkind. "I think so," Alex replied, glancing at the woman. "The ambulance is on its way." The man knelt beside the woman, taking her hand. "Lena, it's me. I'm here," he said softly. Alex realized this must be her husband. The woman's face relaxed slightly at his voice, and she gave a weak nod. Within minutes, the wail of sirens filled the air, and an ambulance pulled up to the curb. Paramedics rushed out, taking over as Alex stepped back to give them space. He watched as they loaded the woman onto a stretcher, her husband staying by her side, murmuring reassurances. As the paramedics prepared to leave, the man turned to Alex. "What's your name, son?" "Alex Perez," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. The man nodded, his expression softening. "Alex, I can't thank you enough. You saved my wife and our baby. If there's anything I can do for you, just name it." Alex hesitated, his mind racing. He thought about the eviction notice at home, about his mom working herself to exhaustion. He swallowed hard, unsure of how to ask for help. I don't know," he stammered. "I'm just glad she's okay." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "Here," he said, pressing it into Alex's hand. "My name's Victor Griffin. Call me if you think of anything. Anything at all." Alex nodded, clutching the card tightly. He watched as the ambulance drove away, the crowd that had gathered beginning to disperse. The security guard gave him a nod, a silent acknowledgement of his actions, and Alex turned to head to school, his thoughts swirling. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Alex arrived at school late, slipping into his seat as quietly as possible. His teacher, Miss Alvarez, gave him a questioning look, but didn't press him for an explanation. Alex couldn't focus, his mind replaying the morning's events over and over. By the time the final bell rang, he felt drained. He walked home slowly, the weight of the business card in his pocket, a constant reminder of the decision he had to make. When he got home, his mom was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She looked up as he entered, her face lighting up with a tired smile. "Hey, Mio, how was school?" Alex hesitated, unsure of how to begin. Finally, he said, "Something happened today." He told her everything, from the woman he had helped to the business card in his pocket. His mom listened intently, her expression shifting from concern to amazement. "You did a good thing, Alex," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "But are you sure about this? Asking for help isn't easy, but sometimes it's the right thing to do." Alex nodded, his resolve strengthening. That night, he sat at the small kitchen table, the business card in front of him. He took a deep breath and dialed the number. The phone rang twice before Victor Griffin answered. "This is Victor," the voice said, warm and familiar. "Hi, Mr. Griffin. This is Alex Perez," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Alex, I'm glad you called. How are you?" "I'm okay," Alex replied. I wanted to ask for your help. My mom, she's been struggling to find steady work, and we're about to lose our apartment." There was a pause on the other end of the line, and Alex's heart sank. Maybe he shouldn't have asked. But then Victor's voice came through, steady and sincere. "I understand. Let's meet tomorrow and talk about how I can help. Can you come to my office?" Alex's relief was palpable. "Yes, thank you. Thank you so much." The next morning, Alex and his mom arrived at Griffin International, both dressed in their best clothes. They were led to Victor's office, a spacious room with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a stunning view of the city. Victor greeted them warmly, shaking their hands and offering them seats. "Alex told me about your situation," Victor said, addressing Alex's mom. "We have a position available in our facilities department. It's not glamorous, but it's steady work with benefits. Would you be interested?" Alex's mom blinked, her eyes welling with tears. "Yes," she said softly. "Thank you. I'll work hard, I promise." Victor smiled. "I have no doubt about that." He turned to Alex. "And for you, young man, I want to do more. I've spoken with some people, and I'd like to help you with your education. A scholarship to a prep school, if you're interested." Alex's mouth fell open. "A scholarship? For me?" Victor nodded. "You have potential, Alex. I want to see you succeed." Tears blurred Alex's vision as he nodded. "Thank you. I won't let you down." Over the next few weeks, Alex's life changed in ways he never imagined. His mom started her new job, and the eviction notice became a thing of the past. Alex enrolled in the prep school, where he found himself challenged and inspired in equal measure. For the first time, he allowed himself to dream of a future beyond the limitations he had always known. Victor Griffin remained a constant presence in their lives, offering guidance and encouragement. Alex worked harder than ever, determined to make the most of the opportunities he had been given. And as he sat in his room one night, studying for an upcoming exam, he couldn't help but think back to that moment outside Griffin International. One small act of kindness had set everything in motion, proving that sometimes doing the right thing could change your life in ways you never expected.